hello there and welcome. Thank you for letting us be a part of your day. And my day is enriched today because I have somebody sitting with me that I have come to know and respect. And I'm delighted to have Dr. Roger Rhoades. And he stops by every once in a while and we have a chance to visit. And what you have shared through the years, I know has helped many people. And you do it in a way that we can all comprehend, and it isn't way out someplace. And that you speak to us as
good.
And today, Dr. Rhoades said he's going to talk about emotional education. And I looked and I said, "What is emotional education?" That's a term I didn't know about.
Yeah, you know, Peggy, one of the things is that we aren't coming out of the womb freshly born, emotionally educated. That we are emotionally uneducated. We don't know how to handle love and life and other people and jobs and life itself. We're not educated to know how to adapt and to adjust. You know, we're given, and through the media, people watch TV, and they think a problem comes up. I can remember the old shows where a problem would come up with old Beaver, and Beaver would have this problem, and his number one, we didn't know where his dad was, where he worked. We never saw his dad where he went to work or anything. June, his mother, was vacuuming in pearls, and in 30 minutes, counting the commercials, they solved B's problem and everything was good. And so a child watching that was indirectly being educated. This was what life was about. This is how life worked. And so a whole generation grew up believing that if a problem came up, wasn't a big deal, and didn't have to worry about bills, didn't have to worry about work, didn't have to worry about things, you know, getting broken, that it was going, whatever it was, we could solve it in less than 30 minutes. And everything was, you know, taken care of. And so that generation grew up believing that's how life worked. And then when things came along and didn't work that way, that was very hard on them. They were not educated to the level of being able to handle it. There's a book by an author named, I don't know if he's still alive, but his name was Scott Peck, and it was called The Road Less Traveled.
I've read that
And you
book.
start, the very first sentence in the book is, life is hard. And what he says is, when people grab the idea that life is hard, life is less hard. That's an education. You know, and one of the places that used to be the cornerstone in people's life was church. Church was a place where people were emotionally educated. It was like you went to school and you learned math and you learned geography, but when you needed to learn about marriage and life and issues and the nitty-gritty, church was where they taught you. But now we have people who they don't go to church, they watch TV, and they believe, you know, in 30 minutes we can solve all that. And I told you when we were having a break, one of the great moments I love in TV is the phrase flesh wound. Now, I can tell you right now, I've never met anybody who's been shot or hurt that looked at it and said, I only got a flesh wound, I'm ready to go. You know, you'd see people in these old Westerns, they'd get shot, they'd fall off the horse, they'd get up, everything be fine. They'd put a handkerchief around it and say, let's go. Now, you know, as well as I do, when people got shot, sometimes they were in the hospital for weeks. They didn't have a job, they didn't have any money, and so they struggled to get back on their feet because life was hard. And the church was a great place. In the first chapter of James, there is a significant verse. It doesn't say when, it says when, not if. And it's talking about trials. tough times in life. It doesn't say if tough times come. It says when tough times come. It's telling you straight up, tough times are coming. And when people see that, and I think one of the things that has really gone left of center is marriage. Because somehow people have been taught marriage, everything's going to be wonderful. Everybody's going to behave. If you marry someone, they'll understand. And they'll know how to handle you. And another thing is, if you marry someone, they're going to be just like the people you were raised by. I mean, that's hilarious. No, number one, you marry someone of a different sex, and they were raised by different people. So, one of the greatest examples I've used, I probably have used this on the show before, is the difference between mayonnaise and Miracle Whip. Now, long ago, somebody asked me if I wanted a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. And I said, oh, I'd love one. And so they made it for me, and I took a bite of it, and I spit it out. It was, oh, what is that? And they said, well, you asked for a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. And I said, and I said, how did you make it? Well, with bacon, lettuce, and I put mayonnaise on it. And I said, is the Miracle Whip spoiled? And they said, Miracle Whip, Roger, that's salad dressing.
Uh-huh.
And I said, no, it's not. It's mayonnaise. Because as I grew up, my mama said, Roger, you want mayonnaise? And when she said that, she put Miracle Whip on it. And I said, I'll bet you $1 that I'll go to the grocery store right now and get some Miracle Whip, and it'll be with the mayonnaise. And they said, they put $1 on the table and said, let's go look at it. So we went to the grocery store, and we went down the mayonnaise aisle, and there wasn't any Miracle Whip. I went,
what happened?
well, we went over to the salad dressing area, and guess what? Miracle Whip was there. Man, that was an education. Well, I must have been 30 years old when that happened. I just assumed mayonnaise and Miracle Whip were the same thing. No, they're totally different. And I saw a show on public broadcast where a person, they had like 4 things. One was Miracle Whip, one was Blue Plate, one was Duke's. And they said, you could usually tell where people grew up.
By what they want to.
Yeah, what tasted right to them.
Yeah.
And that's like in my family. My wife comes from Greenville. And guess what she likes? Duke's.
Of course.
If you open up our refrigerator right now,
there's
Peggy,
your Duke's mayonnaise.
There's 2 jars. There's a jar of Miracle Whip and there's a jar of Duke's. And she's like, how can you eat this Miracle Whip? I said, man, it tastes great.
But it's what you've been used to.
Yes.
It's what you accept when you're a child.
Right.
It becomes part of what you are as an adult.
Yes, it does. That's the way with life. That's the way with work. That's the way with marriage. And people who can work together have a good marriage. People who can work together have a great job. But what happened, Peggy, is people stopped going to church. They stopped getting educated. They expected TV and regular school to cover that education. Now, regular school's struggling just to teach 1 + 1 = 2 to kids. How in the world are they going to teach them? And so what happens is people, abdicate that responsibility. Let the school do it. Let TV do it. But children have what I call monkey education, Peggy. You know what monkey education is? Monkey see, monkey do. Well, that's what they do. They wake up every morning, they see what mama and daddy does and how mom and daddy act. And that becomes their normal.
And that has always been the case.
Yeah. Well, that's the number
through all
one.
generations. That's been the case.
Right. But when people went to church and they said, okay, it's not if tough times ever come to you. Tough times are going to come, just like Scott Peck. Life's difficult. And so when trials come, this is what you need to do with it, because it's going to come. And what it's basically saying is, when tough times come, you're going to need to be flexible. When tough times come, you're going to have to adapt to it. And when people do that, they do better. You know, we used to be, in marriage, much more flexible. People put up with all kinds of stuff and made it through. And today, they don't do that. You don't behave the way they want you to behave. If you don't deal with the ways that they wanted to deal with it, divorce. I'm not putting up with it. I don't have to put up with this. And it's hard. You know, usually where people end up marrying is, you know, if I was in the police force, I married someone from the police force. If I went to, you know, the University of Georgia, I married someone from the University of Georgia. You know, and we're going to then make it work. Well, wow, that's tough. But it gives me a chance to find somebody. But one, as you see, is as we get older, harder to find people, you know, to connect with. And one of the things you said was, very seldom do you see someone who doesn't come with history. Wow.
Well, it's true.
It is true. And it's then so important for people to be emotionally educated, to know, hey, if you find somebody, it's going to take work. If you get married, it's an investment. And it's not all lovey-dovey and, you know, like it is on TV, the music goes in the background, the lighting's wonderful, and the stars are glittering. Well, that's just not the way it is. That's not the way. You know, you get married and all of a sudden, you know, you got to wake up and, you know, the first day it's like, oh, wow, I want to be with this person. And the next day, and the next year, and the next decade. You know, that's real marriage. It's work. And people that I've seen who buy into that, Peggy, they're married forever. You know, there are people that, and I think the number one person there is my sister. You know, she found somebody that she connected with in junior high or middle school. Now, they've been married now for 50 years. 50 years. And I know other people who can't make it 5. But they said, it isn't always going to be wonderful. It isn't always going to be beautiful. Everything isn't always going to work. We're going to have tough times. And they accepted that in middle school.
Okay. We are going to go to a break, and we'll be right back, because I know you're going to pull something to the end of this, of how those people who are struggling can find answers.
Yes, yes.
We'll be right back.